We wanted to talk about your weird obsession with subway.
Yeah, with metros.
Okay, let's agree on what we're gonna call it. Subway or metro?
I think they only call it subway in New York.
Or underground?
That's how they call it in Britain.
Okay, let's call it metro.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what metro is, it's subway and underground.
And tube.
And tube.
Every time I visit a new city, I want to see three things. One is a good view. So I'm interested in like parks and places from which you can see the city. Then if there is any sort of skyline, I want to see those buildings because I just love tall buildings. And the third and most important thing is I always want to visit the metro. Every time I visit a city and I, for some reason, don't have time to see the metro, then it doesn't count as a visit. I just love seeing different solutions when it comes to the trains themselves, the way people act in the metro, the navigation system and the symbols that they use for it. Most of the cities have like a stylized M or something for the metro, which looks really good most of the time. And I don't know, every metro has its own magic to me.
Mm-hmm.
So which metros did you like the most?
Well, I think that Prague metro is one of the best.
Yeah, I agree.
I like about it that it's very simple. There's only 3 lines. For example, in Paris, let's say you choose 2 lines and you can switch from one another on like different stations. Like there's, let's say, at least 3 stops where you can change. Whereas here, when you want to change from, let's say, line A to the line B, there's only 1 stop where you can change the line.
So they like share junction points in France?
Yeah, and I've seen this happen in like other metros as well.
Okay.
Which I think just creates confusion. Or I've seen in Paris that one line would divide into 2 lines, and then you were standing on the platform and you were waiting for the train. It arrived, it was the right lane, but you had to look like, does this go to one destination or the other destination? But it was the same direction.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why do they do that? Like, that just creates so much confusion. Or if there's a platform where there's multiple lines arriving to that platform.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest difference you can arrive to. In some cities like DC, they share the tracks. Like different lines share the same track.
Whereas in Prague, you just arrive, you go to the platform and you don't have to look. You know that the train that comes there is your train.
Yeah, it's the only option.
Yeah.
And also there is this weird sense of accomplishment once you figure out the metro system in the city where you're at. I always like it. For example, when I figured out how the New York metro works, that was amazing because it's not that difficult, to be honest. But once you figure out that some metros have like this square around the number, and it means that it chooses different route in several occasions. And also I thought that metro and the train that goes above the ground, is it High Line? Those are 2 different things. It was a stretch in my imagination, but I've realized that in New York it's actually the same thing. It just depends on whether the train goes above or under the ground.
That's the point. That's the main difference.
Yeah, but I thought those are 2 different systems that are not connected.
There's one thing that's great in Paris, and I've seen it. It's not on every single line in Paris. It's everywhere in Toulouse, I would say. Toulouse metro system is great as well. There's no driver. In Toulouse, you can sit like at the front of the metro and you can look into the tunnel, which is awesome. You can see like the station arriving, and it's cool. And so I like that. And I also like in Prague, most of the metro stations, you can just go to the station, to the platform, and you can go right or left, and you can choose the direction. You don't have to go to a different, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that actually brings me to my top 5 of my favorite metros. And Prague currently is winning it just by a small margin because I like the metro in Madrid better. It was cleaner and it was more modern than in Prague. It was very well organized and the intervals were short. But simply the fact that the platforms were on the sides made it a little bit more difficult because you had to choose your direction first before you arrived to the platform. And if you realized that you were on the wrong side, you had to go all the way around to go to the other one. So I like that in Prague. In I would say 90% of stations, the platform is in the middle.
Yeah, and it's great if you, and this has happened to me a lot of times. When I was on the metro with a friend, we were talking, we missed our stop, and we had to go back. So we just got off the train, walked across the platform to the opposite direction, and got on the train again. We didn't have to take the stairs or go around or anything.
Yeah, that's nice. So what's your favorite metro?
My favorite metro would be either Prague or Toulouse, but they're both very similar. What I like about the Toulouse metro is A, there's no driver.
Okay.
It's all automated. B, there's music at every station. It's not very loud, but I mean, you can hear it. If you forget your headphones or if you're bored or whatever, there's music. C, at every station there are these glass doors or like a barrier so that no one can fall on the into the tracks before the train arrives, so you know where to stand because you know where the door will be. I like that it's simple. It has 3 lines. It's very similar to the Prague metro system. It's very fast. It's very clean. And another thing is, and that's, I don't know if I hate it or if I like it, but there's no phone reception. Usually there's no phone reception in the tunnels of the metro, right?
Yeah.
In most metros, there is reception at the station on the platform. In Toulouse, when you go down on those stairs leading you to the platform, you lose your reception. There's just no way you can message anyone. So no one's on their phones. Everyone's just really being present. Okay. No one's scrolling down on Instagram or calling someone.
Well, what sort of quality time can you have in the metro then?
Well, if you're with a friend or it's happened to me, like people just interact with each other. In southern France, people are very nice and talkative and very open and warm. And I have this funny story. I took the Toulouse metro once and I'm very short. It was full of people and there were no seats available. So I got into the metro. I was like in the middle and I could not reach any poles to hold on to.
On top?
Well, that's the thing. I was too short. So I could not reach those that were on top, but I was far away from those that are like vertical. And this guy saw me struggling with that, and for one stop he was like laughing at me, but like it was cute. I wasn't offended by it. It was cute. And then once the subway stopped, or once the train stopped, he came to me and he said, "Hey, let's switch. I can reach the top."
That's cool.
Yeah, it was cute. It was nice of him. If you're not looking into your phone on the subway and you look around you, you realize that you quite often you meet people you know on the metro, like next to you.
What's the population of Toulouse?
It's the same as Prague.
Oh, that's weird.
A little over 1 million. But I think like 50% of the population there works around Toulouse for Airbus because the Airbus factory is there. So it's happened during that 1 year that I've lived in Toulouse. It's happened to me so many times that I just met a friend on the subway.
So what's your third favorite metro?
Maybe New York City.
Okay, yeah, it's a good choice.
Because I feel like it lives its own life. It's very organic. New York City above the ground is one thing, but then New York City under the ground is something completely different, and it has a lot of culture. It has a lot of, it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It has a very strong vibe to it.
Yeah, I noticed the metro is very distinct.
Yeah.
Which one is older, London or New York? Must be London, right? Yeah, that's the thing. I've never been to London Metro.
No?
No, it's
actually,
a shame.
Yeah, that's actually, I like that metro as well. I like the stations, but I don't remember it that well. It's been over 10 years.
Yeah, so I think I know where our next trip is going to be.
To London Metro?
Yeah, because I've been to London, but it doesn't count because I haven't seen the metro.
I've been to London 6 months ago, but I didn't take the metro. But I already took it previously, so. 1863.
So which one? London?
London.
Yeah, that's probably older than New York.
1904.
Right. Yeah, I believe London is the oldest in Europe and also in the world, but the second oldest in Europe is Budapest. And I had this amazing experience with Budapest Metro because it's very old. It's definitely the oldest one I've ever stepped in. The trains are actually cars that were used back in the day when they were run by horses. So they actually had like tunnel horses that were carrying the cars there. And it hasn't changed much except for that now they use electricity. But the stations are very close to each other and it's cute the way it looks. It looks so old and so small, but then they have a fourth line that is brand new. Well, it was when I went there, which was 2015, I believe. And the thing is that if you go from the old line from 1 to 3, the ones that were from the beginning of 20th century, you transfer to the fourth new line. It's like time travel. It's the closest thing you'll ever encounter to a time machine. Because the new metro is so modern. It's probably the most modern looking metro I've ever seen. Everything's made of concrete. Everything is glassy. The metro is very sleek. It's big. It's spacious and wide. And you don't believe you're in the same city.
That's interesting. I've definitely been to the Budapest Metro, but I was little and I don't remember it, so I didn't count it in.
Right.
How many metros have you ridden?
Seems like 14 from what I wrote down.
I have 19.
Well, let's hear come back for the number of flights we took last year.
So which one have you taken?
Prague, Budapest, Madrid, DC Metro, which I consider the worst metro in the world. Baltimore, which is a close second in worstness. It just has more rats than DC and fewer lines, and it looks worse, but it still operates better from what I've encountered. Then Boston, Ciudad de Mexico, Lisbon, New York, LA, San Francisco, which has 2 metro systems, Seattle and Kiev. What about you?
I've been to the Prague Metro, Brussels Metro, Amsterdam Metro, Berlin, Paris, and I think Paris is probably the worst. There's actually no system to the lines, I don't think. Sometimes you have to walk a long, long way to get to the platform. There's lots of stairs. If you have luggage, it sucks to be on the metro. One line is modern, another line is very old, very dirty. I don't like that it's inconsistent. And some trains have drivers, some trains don't have drivers. It's just total mess.
So doesn't it feel like time travel?
Not really. It just feels like bad travel. No, I don't like it. I don't think it's efficient. I don't think there should be as many lines. The system would work much better if just there was some system to it.
Right.
So then Toulouse, which I love, Barcelona, Porto, London, Rome, Milan. And I have a semi-funny story about Milan Metro. I went to Milan when I was 15 with my mom and my stepdad, and we were there for 2 days. It took us 1 day to get there by car from Prague. Then the second day we spent the whole day in Milan, and then the next morning we spent in Milan, and in the afternoon we drove back home. On the first full day we were there, we wanted to take the subway, but we said, okay, we're gonna just walk around and we're gonna take the subway tomorrow because we'll have less time. We wanted to take the subway the next day and it was on strike, so actually that doesn't make sense because we did take the subway.
Maybe they only had a strike in the morning.
No, I know we couldn't take the subway at all the second day, so probably we took the subway on the first day, but we didn't want to take it as often, and we bought a packet of like 10 rides and we only could use like half of them because the next day we couldn't use them up. That was the problem. But I don't remember much from that subway. I know it was dirty. That's all I remember. Then I took the subway in Naples. I got lost searching for a subway station in a very bad neighborhood at night. Then I took the subway in Oslo, Vienna, then in Tehran in Iran, then Tunisia, the city. Is it called Tunisia as well? The city?
I think so.
New York City, Boston.
I think the country is called Tunis and the city Tunisia. Or Tunisia.
No, I think it's the opposite. And I actually wrote Tunisia twice, so it doesn't count. So I've seen 18.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's Tunisia, the country, and Tunis, the city.
So yeah, that's it. 18 in the end.
Well, we actually decided to write an article about metros because we're both so interested in it, or at least I like to think that Adela likes it too. And
I like it, but maybe not as much as you.
Yeah, I'm like a metro nerd, except for I don't know any facts about it. I just like looking at it and explore the visual language you can meet only in the metro and soak it in. So we're gonna write a blog post on our website about metros, and we're gonna rate all the ones that we visited. Maybe try to find some pictures of it, and we're gonna try to keep the list updated every time we visit a new city and see the metro.
I think we should go to Moscow to see the Moscow metro. Have you seen some pictures of it?
I did. They have beautiful train stations there.
Yeah, metro stations.
Metro stations.
I'm really interested in that metro.
Well, one time I was planning on it because I had a long layover in Moscow and I wanted to see the city, but...
Not really, he wanted to see the metro.
Right. It wasn't as easy to get the transit visa, and it also cost about $70, which was a lot for me back then, so I didn't. Yeah, but that sounds like a good plan. Why not see the metro?
Can you imagine filling up the visa application? What do you want to do in Russia? We want to ride the metro.